Today we're going to learn how to enter in data into your graphing calculator, and we're also going to look at how we can run a stat test that will give us a lot of the calculations that we don't have to do by hand. So we're going to use the data from the worksheet that you were given in class called Statistics on the Graphing Calculator. And we are shown 16 quiz scores from students from a math quiz. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to enter that data into our calculator. So first you need to turn your calculator on. Just hit the on button here. Okay. And your calculator may look a little different than my calculator because this is a TI-84 plus CE, but really the keystrokes are the same for a TI-84 or a TI-83. So if you have a TI-83, this will be the same. Okay. So go ahead and turn your calculator on. Then you want to go to the Stat button. The Stat button is, if you can see my cursor moving, it's right here. Okay, it says Stat. So hit that button, and you're going to get this menu to the right here on your screen. And we want to edit. Number one, we're going to edit the list. So we're going to hit Enter to get into that. And you're going to be given lots of blank lists, hopefully. If it's not blank, you need to clear it out. So just go use your up arrow. So it's highlighted on L1, hit clear and enter, and it'll clear your list for you if you don't have a clear list. So now what you're going to do is you're going to enter your 16 quiz scores in list 1. And so all you do is you just type in the number 74 and hit enter, and that's your first one. And then you just do that for each of the scores. So 80, 91, 52, 73, 72, 66, 92, 68, 75, 66, 84, and 82. Okay, and just like with writing a list of values, you have to make sure that you've typed in your list of values correctly and you're not missing any. So if you see this in, L1 here is list 1, and the 17 in parentheses, that means that you're on line 17 right here, which means you have entered in 16 numbers because you're on line 17. So that means that we have all 16 data in our list. Okay, so that's step one. We have to enter in the list. Okay, the calculator will not do any stats unless you tell it what data to do it with. Okay, so once that is in there, go back to stat. So you're going to hit stat again, and you are going to go over to calculate. So you're going to use the right arrow, go over to calculate. We're going to run a 1 var stats test. Okay, so it's just the first one, so you can just hit enter here. All right, if you have a TI-84, this is the screen that you're going to see. If you don't have a TI-84, if you have a TI-83, you're not going to see this screen, and that's okay. The process is the same. All you just do is hit enter basically until it calculates, and everybody will have this screen whether you have a TI-84 or a TI-83. All right, so this screen really tells us the stats from that data set. So what do all of these symbols really mean? So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to tell you what all those symbols mean, and you're going to write what all those symbols mean on your piece of paper. So let's go into this. Okay. So what are the information that we can get from a 1 var stat test? Well, the first thing we're going to get is the mean. Now that's the X with the line over it, and I couldn't do a line over the X in Google Slides. So this is the mean of the data. It does it for you. Okay. The next thing that we're going to go over is the little e, or the big E, I should say. That in math, that means the sum. So this is saying the sum of the data set. So if you're going to add all the data, all the test scores together, that would be your answer. The N is just simply the number of values in a data set. And then if we scroll down, which I'm going to show you how to do, we get our 5-number summary to make a box and whisker plot. So you don't have to do it by hand, actually. The calculator will do it for you if you do this. So we have our minimum. That's your lower extreme. It's the lowest value in a data set. Then we have Q1. That's the first quartile, or the lower quartile in the data set. MED is the median value. quarter 3, or for third quarter, is the upper quartile in the data set. And then we have max X, which is your upper extreme or the highest value in a data set. And there are other values that we're given in the calculator, but those are the ones that we're going to look at for today. Okay, so let's go back to our graphing calculator. So you'll see that here's that mean, that X with a line over it. Okay, here's the sum of all of our data. So if I'm going to add those test scores together, I would get 1,205. The next three, these three over here, we are not going to talk about. We do use one of them and we will learn about one of them, but for right now we're just going to look at the following, okay? N is 16. Well, we know that because there were 16 quiz scores, so there are 16 pieces of data. Then we have minimum X, that's our minimum test score, so we have a 52, somebody got a 52. And then Q1, remember, that's the lower quartile, which is the median of the lower half. Okay, that's the part of our box plot there. And then we see this arrow. Not everything fits on the screen, so to get down to the other values, we just hit the down arrow, and that really gives us the rest of the data. So the median test score is a 73.5. The third quartile, that upper quartile, is the median of the upper half, that's 83. And then our maximum is a 98, so that's the highest score on the quiz. And so those are the numbers that we can get from a one variable stat test. Now what you're going to do is you're going to use the calculator. We want you to practice entering in the data from the list and then running a one variable stat test. And all we want you to do is find the mean for the 5 sets of data on your homework worksheet. And all you have to do is find the mean. That's all you have to do. You don't have to find the mean absolute deviation, and we haven't even talked about standard deviation yet, so we don't expect you to find that either. So just find the mean, okay, using your one variable stat test.